Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Quick Spin, the Autoweek podcast that gets to the essence of the automobile. Today, we're talking about the 2021 Rolls-Royce Ghost. That's right, we're headed into the land of luxury with the great Mark Vaughn. But before we get there, you can check this Rolls-Royce out on our Instagram page right now. That's at Autoweek USA. And don't forget to head over to our Facebook page. Also subscribe to that. And if you could do me a big favor, and wherever you listen to this, make sure to drop us a review. I really appreciate it. We're going to talk about this Rolls-Royce in just 1 second, but before we get there, we have to pay the bills. Our friends at Road & Trek have some big news to share. The premium lifestyle magazine for the automotive enthusiast is now fully loaded. Become a member of the Trek Club and receive 6 supersized double issues a year, plus access to digital content, dozens of partner privileges, exclusive invites to editorial events, and first dibs on insider automotive events both online and around the world. Hop on in by visiting roadandtrack.com/join. That's ROADANDTRACK.com/JOIN. And Mr. Vaughn, please tell me about the Rolls-Royce Ghost.
I'm not going to try and fake an accent because it turns out that there have different accents in different parts of the United Kingdom. And you wind up throwing all the accents in and they think, you don't sound like any of them. So I'm just going to talk like an American, by golly. Yes, the Rolls-Royce Ghost. This is, if you're looking for 2 things from Rolls-Royce, if you're looking for a quote-unquote driver's car, and if you're looking for the entry-level car from Rolls-Royce, the most affordable, most accessible car is this all-new Ghost. And by golly, I just drove one. So first of all, everybody wants to know how much it costs. So the base bare bones stripper model with the vinyl seats, kidding, it doesn't have vinyl seats, is $332,500. The one that I drove, God bless it, was $428,250. But the people who are buying these don't care about that. They have different motivations. God knows what those motivations are. Yeah, so we got the price out of the way right up at the top. But so this is an all new Ghost. The previous Ghost was offered from 2009 to 2020 and it was itself a wonderful car, but this one is all new. So this takes the aluminum space frame, its own version of the aluminum space frame found on the Phantom and the Cullinan, and applies it to this car, which is, as close to a quote-unquote driver's car as you're going to get. Although, when the current Phantom came out, I was on that press trip, and I was amazed. I expected to just be like previous big Rolls-Royce Phantoms and just sort of flop around. And the current Phantom, which shares architecture with the Ghost, as we said, is a surprisingly fun car to drive. They took us on twisty roads through the hills in Central California on this thing, and I was just amazed at it. And so the Ghost takes that another step farther as far as being a driver's car. Now, this is not by any stretch a sports sedan. This isn't a BMW M5 or anything. It is still very large and, quite heavy, but it actually, in its own way, in its own heavy throw weight way, it is fun to drive. They introduced this car to us in Malibu, and, they said, well, here's a drive route, but you probably know the hills pretty well, so you just take your own road. And by golly, I did. And I got on stretches of Mulholland that were probably way too tight and twisty for a car this big. And yet I was having fun. I enjoyed driving this car on twisty roads. Again, you compensate like any great race car driver. You get in the car at Le Mans, they need you to drive the 956 instead of the 962 because, so-and-so dropped out. And you get in and you immediately just recalibrate your brain to whatever the parameters of the car are, and then you go. And for this Ghost, for something as big and heavy as it was, I was having a blast.
And we're going to get to you driving the car in a little bit. But more importantly, at least for those that like luxury, you recorded yourself going through this car. Give us a little walk around. We're going to go to that right now.
Sitting here in the Rolls-Royce Ghost. Here to tell you it's very much alive. 563 horsepower. V12. What more do you want from a car? It's got a suspension that you just wouldn't believe. Well, you would believe. It's exactly as smooth and lovely and elegant as you would think it would be. It is just a joy to ride around in. What a lovely, lovely car it is.
The one thing about that, it is officially it is a 6.75 liter twin turbo
The
V12.
6 3/4, yeah. Now, Mark, about this roll. So it is the entry level rolls, right? What?
Yes.
How are you penalized on the interior? Is the interior as opulent as I would expect from a Rolls, or is it, a step below a Phantom or a Wraith?
It is every bit as opulent. You're not, like I said, these are not vinyl seats. It's not a vinyl bench seat. It's not a 3-in-the-tree transmission. It's everything that you would get on the Phantom. And I think this car is really aimed at a younger buyership. Now, they claim, Rolls-Royce told me that the average age of a buyer on this is 42, which, I mean, Chevy doesn't have that, I don't think. So they're down there affordably, and by golly, it all works. 42 years old. You sit on the inside. You have those, or at least my car had that headliner with all the little stars in it. You get the illuminated fascia, illuminated grille, the tread plates, as they are called. They say Ghost on them. There's nothing missing that I could tell. Contrast seat piping, colored stitching, it's all there. You're not missing anything, in my humble opinion, with this car.
Well, that's good to hear. But also, Mark, you talked about the suspension, and I know we're going to get to you driving the car in just a second, but can you talk about how the suspension works a little bit, or what makes it special?
Well, it has air struts, of course, so you're riding on air, as you would expect in a Rolls-Royce. But there are a couple of fun little things, like there's an upper wishbone damper. So it's not just a straight up shock. There's all kinds of things that control this. Electronically controlled shocks, of course, self-leveling, high-volume air struts. And the variability, of course, is continuous. So it's not like you just set it at one thing and go. But then on top of that, there's a thing called the flag bearer system, which is a funky name. In the early days of the automobile, you had to have a guy walking out in front of you waving a flag to get the horses and the pedestrians out of the way. And so that guy was called the flag bearer. So in this case, the flag bearer system is actually some cameras that aim forward and pick out potholes and parking bumps and, I don't know, pedestrians, I don't know what. And so it adjusts the suspension for that. And then on top of that, it has a GPS function. So it knows if the road ahead of you is going to curve again, like you just went through a curve, say, and it downshifted for that, and there's another curve coming up, it keeps the transmission in the gear for that coming curve. I don't know what more you could ask for. I don't know what more they could do to make your ride more pleasant than that.
Well, speaking of that ride, let's go to you behind the wheel.
So that was the car from the outside. Now let's see what it sounds like from the inside. Now, of course, to close the door, normally you would have people who would come and close your door for you, but should those people, I don't know, say there's a revolution or something and they're no longer around, you would have to do it yourself. But you can do it by pulling up on a button inside the Ghost. Isn't that nice? Okay, now here we go. Starting from the inside. You can't even hear it, can you? Let's see if I start driving this thing, perhaps then you could hear it. You got to be really careful not to hit anything with this, because I think they can still throw you in jail if you dent a Rolls-Royce. I'm not entirely certain of that, but there. I meant to put it in reverse and I accidentally hit the windshield washers. Okay, here we go. Acceleration. That's a little bit of acceleration up Canaan Doom Road in Malibu, where these things might actually live. So I might look like I fit right in. I don't know. Maybe I don't. Maybe people have already called the police. Yeah. Anyway, It's a lovely car. It is every bit, like I said, every bit as nice as you would think a Rolls-Royce should be, or is. It is, in fact, that nice. So a little bit later on in my Rolls-Royce drive, I've gone on twisty roads. So you just have to take the curb weight into account when you go to make your turn and hit your apex. I think it's kind of fun, you know. You kind of throw it into a corner and it comes out the other side. Works every time.
If there's a young person in your life who's really into cars, give them the gift of R&T Crew, the ultimate subscription box by Road and Track for kids ages 6 to 10 every other month. A box is delivered to their door and is stuffed with cool accessories, fun activities, and a magazine chock full of facts, stories, games, and more. Sign up now and receive the all-new Need for Speed box and enter code Autoweek. That's, of course, AUTOWEEK for 10% off an annual subscription. Just head over to rtcrew.com. That's RTCREW.com and use the code Autoweek. No, Mark, that is impressively loud in the cabin for Rolls. I was not expecting that at all.
Well, it wasn't loud, really. I mean, that was at full throttle acceleration, and maybe people want to hear a little bit of engine noise then. The rest of the time, you don't hear really anything. So I will say I was happy that there is still some roll when you go around a corner. There's some roll. It's not like so many of these modern super sedans have these 48-volt anti-roll bar things that just clamp down and you get like 1 degree of roll or something like that. I don't know. I actually prefer to have a little bit of roll, but then I'm old school, like really, really old school. So anyway, this does that, and it's just one of the many things that I like about it.
Mark, I believe you hold the patent for the stone wheel. And what an achievement that was when that went to the patent office.
Well, my first press trip was with Fred Flintstone, and it was, the stone wheel. There's a single solid stone wheel in the front, matching stone wheel in the back, single tree limb suspension, brakes by feet. Yeah.
Nice. Brakes by Achilles. So Mark, on a quick spin, we try to get to the essence of the automobile. We try to figure out why it exists. And Mark, why does this Rolls exist? What is the essence of the Rolls-Royce Ghost?
The Rolls-Royce Ghost fills out the Rolls product line at the, I don't know if you even want to say lower end, at the more accessible end, at the, okay, let's call it entry level. What the heck? Because I can't think of a better word. But it offers, in my opinion, having driven both the Phantom and the Cullinan not too long ago, it offers pretty much everything you're going to get as far as ride and luxury and all that. Of course, Cullinan has a little bit more practicality, cargo room and stuff like that. But, Ghost versus Phantom. Phantom is really set up to be driven in. So you're going to have Jeeves up there piloting the thing, and you're going to be in the back with, I don't know, your secretary, your concubines, whatever these people have in the back. This car is far more likely to be driven by the owner. Whether that owner, some new sneaker magnate is going to have this thing, and he's going to want to drive the car himself. And I think that's the essence of it. It's the self-driver Rolls, but I don't want to make it seem like it's it's not a sports sedan, but it's something you would enjoy driving more than riding in.
Well, and for you magnates out there, you new money magnates, I couldn't agree more for the Rolls-Royce Ghost. But I think that's about a good place to wrap this one up. Thank you for listening to us talk about the Rolls-Royce Ghost. If you could, please head over to the Apple Podcast Store or wherever you get this podcast to drop us a review. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you want to hear in the future. Let us know if you're buying a Rolls-Royce Ghost so we can give you a nice round of applause. And before you go, I just want to thank you for listening. Without you, none of this would be possible.